Hello, Abigail here with the astrology and the tarot energy reading for the lunar eclipse in Pisces. Yes, folks, it's our first eclipse of this season. I will say, however, that new moon square Uranus was very eclipsy, which makes sense considering it is kind of a part of this trifecta of lunar events that we're getting in Virgo season. Remember that there's a final eclipse on the 21st. That will be 29 degrees of Virgo opposing Saturn. So keep that in mind. It's going to be a lot, guys. And this eclipse is not a lot. Just a reminder, this isn't fear mongering or, doom and gloom, but eclipses are chaotic. They are a lot. How I tend to work with them and explain them to other people, it's like basically an energy vortex, and everything happens very quickly all at once. Also, it's very kind of related to things like destiny and fate. Well, I believe that we can change and shift those things depending on our decisions. There are some things that are inevitable. And so eclipses bring things to their inevitable end or their inevitable conclusion. Doesn't always have to be bad, doesn't always have to be intense. It often is colored by your own chart. Actually, not often, it is colored by your own chart and by where the eclipse nodes are falling in your birth chart. So if you want to check those out, would be helpful. And if you don't know how to, you can always find an astrologer who can read that. Me, someone else. Pretty much any astrologer should be able to help you kind of suss out eclipse things. But this eclipse is on the 7th of September at 2:09 p.m. EST, and it is at 15 degrees of Pisces. And of course, if we're having a lunar eclipse, it is a full moon. So the sun is over in Virgo. The sun is conjunct Mercury, which then means it is opposing the moon. So we have a Mercury opposition. We also have a Jupiter trine. And Jupiter does bring good things, luck, and benefic energy. Jupiter, in the modern understanding, also just expands upon things. So if something is a bit gnarly, it will get bigger through eclipse season and will have its kind of final moment with that new moon on the 21st. And if something really good is happening, that really good tends to get bigger. Jupiter is in Cancer and it is exalted, so we can't forget that there is this support and care that we are receiving through this Jupiterian moment. And, Pisces is ruled by this Jupiter. And so there is a sense that in the midst of all this turmoil, good things are happening. And I think what we're going to find is some of the good things that happen aren't going to feel good in the moment. However, they are going to, looking back, they will be seen as some of the best things that have happened in your life, the most kind of life-shifting decisions that moved you towards your purpose and your goal. So just know that if things are difficult now, they're not just difficult for funsies. They're not just, being tense and troublesome for no purpose. This is working and moving you towards something that is really meant for you, and something that, especially with Pisces being involved, something that you can't even really imagine or comprehend. It's a dream beyond the dreams that you have dreamed. It just might feel really tense in this moment. Also, while it is not super close, we do have Saturn in Pisces. So that's flavoring this. And also, it's a pretty tight conjunction with that North Node. So this expansion and change and us being taken to where the soul desires and needs to go, that also means us kind of separating a bit, from the South Node, which is the things that we know and have built up over time. So it's hard to kind of sit with the dichotomy, and also knowing that the final eclipse is a conjunction, loose conjunction with that South Node, but it is a South Node eclipse. So as we head through this, knowing that we have this opposition with Mercury, which kind of makes us put, our money where our mouth is. It makes us do the things that we need to do that are going to better the things that we need to do, and stuff that we're doing that's causing harm or making things more difficult are going to be put into high relief during this eclipse. And then that trine to Jupiter, we are getting support and care from the universe. And anything that you release and move through and move towards during this eclipse has a Jupiter blessing. So don't forget that. Also, something that's important, not directly like in in by degree or by any aspect connected, Venus is at 15 degrees of Leo. And why is this degree important? It's because that's where Mercury stationed retrograde. And so I will say this, and I've kind of felt this as we've been moving through this energy, especially since we had the Venus retrograde 2 years ago, Mercury retrograde in Leo a year ago, and then the current Mercury retrograde in Leo not that long ago. This is kind of a sealing off and a closing of something much bigger than it feels and and much bigger than it seems. So just know that we're wrapping up massive cycles, not just this past, you know, Mercury retrograde, but the one before that and the Venus retrograde before that. We are closing off these doors as we move through this eclipse. We are stepping onto new pathways. We are moving into new channels of understanding and growth. And none of this is simple or easy, but it is valuable and it is worthwhile and it is a good thing to pursue and to do. Um, it just it just isn't going to feel easy for a lot of us. Some people are going to have a unique chart where this actually does feel a little simpler. I am happy for you. A lot of us, it's not going to feel very simple. It's going to feel really tenuous and stressful and tense. So just be aware. We're going to get into the cards, but I want to leave you with an encouragement with the astrology to look at your chart to see where Jupiter is sitting, to see where this lunation is happening over in Pisces, to look at where Venus is, see what's happening over in Virgo, look at what planets are hitting off of it. It's really going to help you get a perspective, even if you don't fully understand everything. One of the best ways to learn to read charts is just to pull them and to look at them and to make the connections and to do research while you were doing it. And this is an excellent time. I also sense within this moment and within this astrology and kind of with stuff I've been experiencing with clients that this full moon is also an invitation to connect deeper with deities and spirits and ancestors, to create your kind of core group of energies and support spiritually as you move through your next steps. If you have been resisting this, I think you'll be forced into something when the Virgo new moon arrives, but I would encourage you to step into something in this full moon as you leave something behind so that you are both gaining and releasing at the same time. And the cards really talk about this kind of dynamic. So starting off, we have the moon. So literal. This is a full moon. We have a full moon in the background. Is it an eclipse moon? No. But we have this moon card, and this is a lot about the internal world. Yes, we will be taking external action, but a lot of that external action is going to follow this event rather than happen on it. Like I keep saying, that Virgo 29-degree moment is going to be the physical embodiment of a lot of things that have been going on leading up to that point. And in this moment, there is a deep call to the internal things and to understanding the depth of your feelings and what you actually need. This moment in astrology is an excellent time to really sit down and be like, what do I want in the future? What do I want in long terms? What feelings do I want to feel as I move through this energy, as I move through my life? Like, if I got the stuff I want now, would I get the feelings that I need to have in order to be a happy, fulfilled, um, expansive human? And if you realize that the thing that you want isn't going to bring you those things, then do your best to release it as much as you can. And know that feelings are complicated. You're not going to know no. So a lot of this is just going to be based on intuition and a belief that your soul on some level can sort through all of the tangled web that is the South Node in Virgo to get in touch with the things that you truly need and desire. The next one I find interesting because we have another full moon right up in there. And this is the Five of Cups, and that speaks to that grief and the sadness of things that don't work out and emotional loss, as is often the case behind the three cups that have spilled into the water. There are two standing. There are things that you still have, but in this moment, it is going to feel as though you are losing a lot. And maybe it's on an emotional level, maybe it's on a physical level, but know that whatever you are losing is clearing the way for more flexibility and more connection with who you are and what you want. And the stuff that you're letting go are a lot of things that have been getting in the way of you connecting to what you need and the path that the universe has for you and the desires of your guides and your ancestors. Doesn't make it easy. Just because that something good is coming doesn't mean that the grieving doesn't deserve a place or doesn't need to happen. I think all of us are going to need a good cry on this Pisces eclipse. So, just be aware that that's fine. And then I find the next card kind of interesting because we go from this kind of removal of stuff to this creation card, which is the Two of Wands, which is about initiation and sparking something off and igniting something and, moving forward with a plan. I do think it's interesting. I believe this is Janus, would be my guess, who is the keeper of the doors in Greek mythology. And so this is a portal to step through, a space in which, whether you can see it or not on a physical plane, you have the support, the passion, and the desire, and the personal tools you need in order to take your next steps, to move forward, to kind of move to new horizons and see and be and become more than you ever have, and also kind of come home to yourself in the same way, the kind of the way that all that kind of works, where the more we travel into our destiny, the more we become ourselves and the parts of ourselves that we've abandoned before. And so this is a moment to bring that back together. And even within this grief and loss, to see the opportunity that the Two of Wands are bringing, that the eclipses are clearing for. And we're going to have, kind of a couple dual eclipse seasons once we transfer into our next eclipse cycle. But in this moment, we are in the thick of it. And the Pisces Virgo eclipse is clearing the way. Virgo is about purification and digestion, and Pisces is about expansion and kind of the limitlessness that energy exists in. And the universe is asking us to embrace this duality in this moment. And then we have the Knight of Coins, which is why I've been referring to that final eclipse. We are slowly but surely moving towards the 29-degree eclipse in Virgo. Don't expect everything to be solved and done and finished on this eclipse. The 2 weeks between eclipses, between the 7th and the 21st, a lot is going to happen that you are not aware of, that you cannot control. So take a tip from the Knight of Wands and simply put one foot in front of the other as we move through this eclipse portal, because while you may think that you know what you're leaving behind and releasing, I think there's going to be a bit of a surprise in the portal where you'll be like, oh, this is actually what's happening. And it's going to be kind of brought to a climax by that 29 degrees. 29 degrees in astrology is called the anaretic degree. It's a really intense degree for anything to happen at. If you have an anaretic planet in your chart, like I do, you will have a more intense life. It's just really intense moments. And there are other reasons you might have an intense life, but if you have an anaretic degree planet, there's always this kind of touch and go that happens in your life that once you see it, you cannot unsee it. So take it slowly. Know that not everything is happening on this Pisces eclipse. Release what you can release, but know that not everything, you're not losing everything just like this one. You're just losing some dead weight. And while that dead weight needs to be grieved and honored, know that there is some stuff coming with that final Virgo eclipse that is going to really illuminate your way forward and really make clear all of the kind of intensity and confusion that's happening now, especially with kind of the kind of blinding expansion that Jupiter is going to bring to this moment. And then we have this Three of Wands. This is the next card to that Two of Wands. We are moving upwards and onwards. This is very much while this is kind of the card that creates the portal, this is the card of stepping through into a new path, into the unknown without knowing where you're headed. This is kind of the practical manifestation of what happens when the Fool takes a step forward. And so we are taking a step forward on faith and not on sight, because we're dealing with Pisces. And there is a belief that once we make it to the top, there is something there that is better for us. And part of the reason I deeply believe this is because I don't always read the card under the card on the bottom of the deck, but I think this is really important. We do have a Four of Wands, and I think that all of this energy is trying to bring us to a space of more comfort and safety, of a sense of community and belonging. It is about righting our current relationships and resetting them so that the issues and struggles that have been getting in our way get cleared. It's also about clearing relationships that don't have this to offer anymore. And we deserve that. It's about clearing friendships and family dynamics and work situations that do not allow us to exist in our fullest, most honest, and celebratory self. And once again, I want to be clear, doesn't make any of this easy to know that something beautiful and comforting is on the other side, but it is something to look forward to. It is something to push forward to and to kind of hold on hope with as we kind of are settling into the eclipse portal, which can be really intense and can really be a lot. Um, yeah, hold this card in your heart as we move through this energy. This eclipse is such a combination of loss and release, and also space for things we couldn't ever imagine having, and dreams come true, and magic entering our lives. So I encourage you to hold space for both. Grieve when you need to grieve, be excited and transformative when you can, and most of all, let the universe drive the vehicle at this time. And focus on yourself, focus on your inner world, focus on your needs and your desires, and listening to your intuition. That is what is going to give you the most strength and hope during this time. Anyways, my loves, that is my reading for this lunar eclipse in Pisces. If you have any questions, you can always pop them in the comments below or DM me. Please like and subscribe if you like my stuff, and have a blessed lunar eclipse in Pisces. And I will see you in a different space and time.